Because listen, the pro-Israel side, as Charlie called it, has lost the majority of the American public. It doesn't have the left at all, which who cares? That's fine. But it also doesn't have a huge chunk of the right, and it wasn't always that way. It doesn't have the younger generation, like at all. It doesn't have support globally. It's just failed to persuade the vast majority of people. That's the fact. That's the reality. And at some point, if you're on the pro-Israel side, you really need to be honest with yourself and engage in some actual honest self-reflection and self-analysis. You really do. Because you're losing the argument. I mean, you're just losing it. You are. And I've never seen any side of any argument lose this much support this quickly. I can't think of any other example of something like this. And if you're on that side, you need to have the courage and humility to ask yourself what you're doing wrong. And most of the time in life, when you're going around and your message is just not resonating with anyone almost, you got to look at yourself. That's the case most of the time.
All right, this is, as said, the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video. In many senses, Matt is absolutely right. The pro-Israel side has been getting absolutely destroyed. In Charlie's words, you're getting crushed. Of course, not militarily. Israel was crushing Hamas militarily, but politically, the global opinion of Israel is just so bad on the liberal side, but then also now more and more on the Republican side. They're just losing such support. Nations around the world are condemning Israel so badly. In a way, everyone on the pro-Israel side has just kind of had the mindset of, oh, we'll just pass. We'll just let it work itself out. And no, our enemy is moving against us, and we can't just be idle. This is a familiar thing. This is what Christians did in the 70s through 2000s. This is what Republicans did in the 90s through 2000s. It's why liberalism and atheism just swept across the West so broadly. Because we didn't address the problems. We just expected them to work themselves out. But there's a reason why atheism was absolutely crushing it in the early 2000s. And that's because Christians were ill-equipped for defending Christianity. We had too many pastors, preachers, and priests who just knew how to do theology. They didn't know how to actually face hard questions. We, the church, ran from hard questions. So all it really took for new atheism was to just throw out new theories. Jesus mythicism absolutely took the world by storm. And because the Christian populace was so ill-prepared for the lies of new atheism, because they were so unstudied in the truth of Christianity, so many of our members fell away from it. You see, gaining a massive movement is not about having truth. It's just about being persuasive. It's about preying on people who are ignorant. It's about preying on people who are uneducated. It's about preying on people who have not been trained to think their beliefs through. And the skepticisms and the just asking questions are so convincing because we've not been trained to critically think. These deceivers know what they're doing. They're very skilled at it. It's why we must train ourselves to be ready for a defense, because otherwise we will be taken by every wind of doctrine. If we do not know how to investigate an argument, we will fall gullible to every wild conspiracy theory. We will be duped by every agenda. Just because a new ideology takes the world by storm does not make it true. Quite often, lies catch on better than truth. Israel's falling for the exact same mistake, and it is crushing them. Seeing so many of my friends, particularly my younger friends, turning their backs on Israel, seeing so many conservative commentators turning their back on Israel, seeing so many nations get so hostile towards Israel, it really does feel isolating. It makes you feel like you're alone in the world. But so Matt's argument, it has resonated with me. I have been wrestling through this. Seeing so many people turn on Israel, kind of wondering what's going on, what happened. Like just a few months ago, so many of my specifically conservative Christian friends were so pro-Israel. What's going on? So Matt is right that this is something we need to wrestle with. But here's a conclusion I've come to. Matt Walsh is wrong. The truth is not a consensus. The truth is true, whether everyone in the world believes it or no one in the world believes it. The truth is true. He says he can't think of a single instance where a side of any kind has lost this support this fast or this hard. Well, I can think of many. Let's start with what I think is the most notable and clearest case of a faction just suddenly losing a whole bunch of support. There's once this specific person who... Stop it! There was once this specific person who entered into a city, and as he entered into the city, he was greeted with the most lavish greeting imaginable, like a royal procession type. Like, the people were so excited to see him coming down the street, they were literally cutting down palm branches, waving them in front of him, laying them on the road before him, even just taking off their coats and laying it on the road before him. You know, shouting, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Literally a royal procession for this person coming in. They were that behind him. 5 days later, they had him arrested and were crying, "Crucify him! We're going to riot if you don't crucify him! Crucify him!" I'll give you some other examples. Elijah, just 2 days after defeating the prophets of Baal in the showdown of Mount Carmel, just 2 days later, he was hiding in a cave wishing that he would die. Or Moses. After leading the children of Israel out of Egypt, they immediately turned on him. Even after the miracle of splitting the Red Sea and leading the people out of Egypt, they still kept turning on him. His own brother and sister manufactured a new god and said, "Oh no, this was the actual God who saved us, not Moses' God." And then when that got resolved, they finally came up to the promised land, and Moses sent 12 spies into the land, and 10 of them came back. "No, we can't do this. We've got to overthrow Moses and go back to Egypt." And they conspired to kill Moses, Joshua, and Caleb. The greatest movements in all history had sudden losses of support. Immediately after the Council of Nicaea condemned Arminianism as heresy, it seems like St. Athanasius was the last defender of Nicene Christianity, of Nicene Orthodoxy, constantly getting arrested, having his life threatened, facing the Arian heresy head on. The Arian heresy, which just got condemned at the Council of Nicaea. Matt said if your argument is not resonating with people, you might want to ask why. Well, let's see if this argument resonates with people or not. If the world is against the truth, then I am against the world. And that's my big takeaway from all of this. I don't care if the world hates the Jews. Hamas started this war with an unprovoked massacre on the Jewish state while they were celebrating a peace concert, literally advocating for peaceful coexistence with the Palestinians at the Nova Convention. Hamas slaughtered 1,200 peaceful Israeli citizens, took 250 more captive, raped women, burned babies alive in their cribs, shot elderly people in their homes, burned homes down, recorded it all on the cameras of their victims and live streamed it all to their friends, and boasted about it to the entire world. They returned home to parades of celebration. 6,000 Gazans infiltrated Israel that day. Less than 4,000 of them were Hamas. This is the most black and white battle ever fought in human history. There is no siding with Hamas in this. The Palestinians do not have a legitimate argument here. They displayed brutality and savagery in this, whereas Israel has displayed chivalry and restraint in waging their defensive war to get their citizens back. Israel has launched the most civil and humane war in the entire history of warfare. One side wants peace, the other side wants genocide. And the side that wants peace is capable of genocide, but is refusing. And they are being accused of genocide anyway. So I don't care if I was the last non-Jew alive defending Israel. I care about the truth. And Israel has been in the right in this war. So I don't care if I stand alone in this. If the world is against the truth, then I am against the world. And this will be nothing new to me. I'm a millennial. I stood mostly alone for Christianity as a teenager in the early 2000s, while most of my friends converted to atheism. New atheism was absolutely crushing it in the early 2000s, and the Christian community was getting cooked. I stood not quite alone in the late 2000s against pro-choice and for pro-life. Pro-choice was absolutely killing it back then. I stood mostly alone in the 20-teens against homosexuality and transgenderism. All of these times, I was against the world then, and I don't mind being against the world again. It is for this reason Christ called us to be holy, which means to be set apart, not like the rest of the world. Paul told us to not be conformed to the world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So I don't care if the entire world turns its back on truth. I care about truth. I will be against the world. The world has often turned its back on Israel and the Jewish people. It's been catastrophic every time. The world has often turned its back on marriage and sexuality. It's been catastrophic every time. The world has often turned its back on Christianity, and it's been catastrophic every time. I stand on God's truth, not the ever-changing whims of men's opinions, toss and turn like waves of the ocean. And as it has been said before, their boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes them cheer. I can think of a million examples of when the truth stood against the world of lies and propaganda. And so, if I have to stand alone, so be it. And if my stance is in vain, because the world overpowers me, then, well, here I stand. I can do no other. Thanks for watching, guys, and God bless.